Hey Ryan, my name is Ricky Taylor. I see this is your first video with Racers360, so thank you. This is my second video with Racers360, so bear with me if I'm a little slow, but I watched your lap a couple times, or watched the first lap, looked like the faster one of the two, and looks like you're doing really well. You had mentioned in your description that you wanted to work on corner entry speed and line selection. And after watching your video, I think we can probably nail both of those and probably kind of one combined sort of thing here. So I'll play the video. I'll just go kind of work us through the lap, draw a little bit, and talk you through it. So we'll start on the front straight. And we'll just do the first lap since it was the better of the two. And then, so one thing I do like about your braking style, or your driving, is your braking style. Kind of a smoother braking style, doesn't really seem to transition the weight too much. So turn one, first thing I saw was, in general with your driving, it looks like you like to rotate the car with the throttle. And I think sometimes that is leading to some of the line issues that you're seeing. So as we see the videos paused here in turn one, you're already cracking the throttle a little bit. So to me, I think we can probably work on braking a little bit later. So what I do whenever I learn a new track, I know you've been to pit quite a few times, but whenever I learn a new track, I pick a spot, so I brake at the 3 or so, and then you brake at the maximum, at the threshold braking all the way until the corner. And normally that's more for a hairpin style, but I like to do it everywhere, just to kind of get a gauge for your entry speed. Because what we have the tendency to do is to brake hard, and then as we get to the corner, we realize we're going too slow, so we release the brake, and then so our entry speed, by the time we get to the apex around here, our apex speed is probably the correct speed. But when you're learning a track, you want to make sure you keep that brake trace the traditional way. That way, you know, when you get to the apex here, you've kind of maximized that whole brake zone. So then you could move it like that. And so just remember, when you are learning a new track, not to do this snap off sort of brake trace there, and it'll help you kind of find your brake. So back to the turn one. I think I would like to see maybe trying to explore a little bit later brake zone. Because when you get to this point in the corner, you're on the right line and everything, but then you start to crack the throttle, and you're rotating the car with the throttle and not with the brake. So ideally, you want to rotate the car with the front tires, not the back. I think that's just going to probably lead to a lot of tire wear. You might be able to pull a lap out of it, but I think you're losing some time in the brake zone probably, and then just with that rotation, not rotating it with the brake. So explore a little bit later brake point to where you can't quite pick up the throttle so early. Probably picking up the throttle closer to the apex, and you'll see that when you brake a little later, your entry speed will be higher, but you also have more weight on the nose of the car, so that the car should rotate a little bit better going into the corner. And I'll give you more examples throughout the lap, but we'll keep playing here. So we'll let it roll, and I'll play it with some sound so you can hear. So if we play it back one more time, you'll see the rotation mostly comes on throttle. So ideally, a little bit later brake, rotate the car going in, and not so much going out. And I think you'll find some free lap time there. So we'll let it keep going. And then here we have another good example. So in relation to the line, oftentimes it looks like your hands are late turning in. Like if we do a steering trace, let me draw here. We do a steering trace, and let's say this line is 0, and you're going to the right. I feel like oftentimes it's a step, and then it's another step, and then you do the exit of the corner. So oftentimes you feed that first bit in, and then you realize you need to finish the corner, and you kind of shoot for a later apex with that second step. And I feel like your first turn-in is actually good, but I think ideally you want to extend that turn-in and just make one smooth turn-in. But I'd also like to combine that with one more thing, and this is a great example of, again, I think braking a little bit too early and wanting to crack the throttle. So I'll let it go just a little bit. I'll let it go slowly. We'll go frame by frame. So you turn in well, braking all the way down, but then like your line here looks perfect. You're shooting right for the curb, and then you pick up the throttle, and then the car skips wide. Not like turn one where you were rotating the car with the throttle. Here, going to the throttle transitions the weight to the back tires and makes the car understeer just because it's a crack. And you had all the weight on the nose with the braking, and all that weight that was on the nose has gone back to the rear tires here and kind of put you a little bit behind. And I think a combination of both ends of the corner, I think you can probably gain here. Braking a little bit later, right to the apex, and I'll let it play with some sound so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And it skips wide. And then it kind of puts you behind when you get to this corner. So then when you want to transition back to the right, it looks like you're a bit late and the car takes a while to transfer the weight. So in terms of line, I'll draw your line first. So this is just a very basic S. And here's the line that it looks like we got here. So you kind of turn in really well, and then it wants to skip wide on throttle, and then you have to flick it back at this point, and all the weight transfer is kind of struggling to complete the corner. So I'd say don't change your turn-in point, but carry the brake a little further. It'll keep you on a more inside trajectory, and then you'll be able to transition the weight more smoothly. Because when you get to this point in the corner, you want to have the car static for just a fraction of a second to help it transition left to right. But again, I think the thing that'll lead to the easiest gain there is just braking a bit later, making sure you can carry the brake all the way in towards the apex. Let's let it go. So you're a bit behind on that last